Hello everyone, welcome back to Apex Coasters, and today I'll be talking to you about the B&M Hypercoaster or Bolliger & Mabillard Hypercoaster. Now, some of the roller coasters on this list, such as Leviathan, Orion, and Fury 325 are Giga Coasters, but we'll be talking about that in a later video. So one of the ones I want to start off with is Apollo's Chariot at Busch Gardens, Williamsburg, Virginia. Now, Apollo's Chariot is one of the most favorited B&M Hypercoasters because of its unique turnaround, which isn't unique for B&M Hypercoasters, but for most roller coasters, it's a unique turnaround. It also has a massive drop into a ravine for the start of the ride, which also makes it an extremely fun ride. So the ride, as you can see, is 170 feet tall, but has a 210-foot drop, which means it has a 40-foot feet down from sea level ravine, or ground level. So next I want to talk about Mako at SeaWorld Orlando, because Mako at SeaWorld Orlando is a classic B&M Hypercoaster and is at the top of so many people who live in Orlando in their coaster list because of the sheer intensity of this B&M Hypercoaster and just the airtime it gives you. So as you can see, it has a 200-foot drop, goes 73 miles an hour. It's an extremely fun roller coaster. It's also with the other great coaster lineup at SeaWorld. We have Kraken over here, also the new opened, the new roller coaster, Pipeline Surf Coaster, and they have Mako and a ton of other roller coasters such as Icebreaker. So next I want to talk about Orion, because Orion is considered a hypercoaster, but it's only 287 feet tall, but has a drop of 300 feet. So this will, in my category, make it a hyper roller coaster. Now this is located at Kings Island. I did do a video about how how Kings Island might overthrow Cedar Point in their coaster lineup, and one of those special roller coasters is Orion. So if you haven't watched that video yet, I hope you go look at that video at the end of this one. So Orion is it has the same layout as a B&M Hypercoaster would have, and it does have a pretty steep drop. So next, for one of the last ones I want to talk about is actually one of the lower ones. Now, some that aren't actually B&M Hypercoasters, you can see this one's only 144 feet tall. It only has the max vertical angle of 50 degrees, but it is considered a B&M Hypercoaster. Not in my book, to be honest. I think this roller coaster is just another roller coaster. It's like a sit-down roller coaster. So I don't really think about much of this roller coaster being a hypercoaster, but Roller Coaster Database classifies it as a hypercoaster. Now, the last one I want to talk about is probably the most intense B&M hypercoaster, Sphere 325. It actually is the tallest roller coaster in the world with a chain lift at 325 feet. Now, Fury 325 is probably the most intense B&M hypercoaster considering its height and speed, and it also has a pretty awkward turnaround compared to the other B&M hypercoasters. They are famous for their turnarounds. And as you can see right here, we have the other B&M Hypercoaster, Intimidator, not to be confused with the Giga Coaster Intimidator 305. So that's pretty much where today's video is going to wrap up. I hope you enjoyed this introduction to B&M Hyper Roller Coasters and basically Giga Coasters that are made by B&M. And we'll see you in another video. Thanks for watching.